All right, hey everybody. My name is Dave. Welcome back to VibeWire. This is a behind-the-scenes episode where I'm going to be going through an update to the website. So yesterday we created the landing page. We used a couple of different vibe coding tools that I've been trying out recently. Ended up going with the landing page from V0. And let's go ahead and bring that up. So I'm just going to run that real quick. I haven't made any changes to it since yesterday, so we'll take a look at it in its kind of raw form right now. Pull this window up here. Alright, so this is where we kind of left off yesterday. We have a basic landing page. We have a player that doesn't quite work yet, but looks pretty cool. We have some episodes down here which also do not work, so if I were to click that, it doesn't do anything. If I click on the episodes tab right here, it's just going to 404. So what I want to go do today is implement this episodes page, and the way I want to do it is I want to be able to really quickly be able to add content about the latest episode. So I don't want to have to go build a whole new web page every time. I'm probably going to be keeping notes in a sort of markdown context, and I would like to eventually generate those show notes. So markdown really makes a lot of sense in that case. We're building this website in Next.js, and Next.js actually has a really nice integration with markdown formatting, which you can actually interacts really nicely with JSX, which is everything else that you see here on this page is JSX. If you're familiar with React programming at all, then you've seen JSX, and that's just basically an abstraction over HTML. And so what Markdown, there's something called MDX, which is an abstraction over JSX, which is pretty cool. Let me see if I can bring up a link to that right here before, and maybe we'll dive into that actually while we're doing this. So I'm going to use Claude 4. I'm using Cursor right now, and I'm just going to have Claude I'm going to describe kind of what I want to do, and then have it, let's see where it goes. So I'm going to say, I want to, please, you always got to say please to the AI, implement an episodes page that allows, we want to follow the same style, so that follows the same as our home page. The episodes, and then we'll say, we want to do this in Markdown. So the should be generated from Markdown files stored in a folder. So every time I record an episode, I'll basically take the show notes from that, drop that in the episode, and then boom, we should have a new episodes page is what I want to happen. So we'll see what happens. Our sponsor today is Hyperfeed. You can find it at hyperfeed.ai. Sign up today and you'll get 20 free credits. Hyperfeed is a vibe marketing platform that gives you an AI-powered coworker that can help with content creation 24/7. You can go ahead and check it out by going to hyperfeed.ai. Here's the homepage. When you sign up, you'll go through and give it some information about yourself and about your business or what you're trying to promote, and it will recommend you tweets right away. If you don't like any of those, you can actually go and talk directly to it over here. It'll generate images for you. It can go and do deep research for you. It's a great marketing assistant. Definitely suggest you check it out. That's at hyperfeed.ai. Thanks. Each episode should be rendered from a corresponding, say each episode page rendered from a corresponding .mdx file. Add two MDX example files start. And I say two because especially Claude has the tendency to do a whole lot more work than it needs to. So we'll see if it actually limits it, but we might end up with 5 or 10 example files if we don't specify. So yeah, let's just see where it goes from there. It's pretty simple instructions. Let's see where it goes. And I'm imagining this is probably going to take a little while. So while it's looking at that, let me show you a little bit on MDX itself, which is pretty interesting. Tab over here. We'll look that up. So Next.js has a kind of whole page on this. We're actually using, there's the app router. So I'll switch over to that. And you can see right here, Markdown and lightweight markup language used to format text. Most people are probably familiar with Markdown. When you're using it, it basically allows you to specify text, with some formatting controls like the ***. This will, when it renders, it will render it on your page through a web browser, for example, as bold, and then this will get rendered as a link. So the title here, and then the URL, you'll be able to click on that. And so what MDX is going to do is it will basically render that into HTML for you. So rather than having to write this, you can write this, which is a lot simpler to use. This just has some information about different dependencies we'll need, so we can refer back to this if Claude has any trouble installing dependencies. Okay, let's see where we're at right now. Need to check if there's any existing components. I always have it ask me every time if it's going to run a command here, just so I can double check it and make sure it's not installing any dependencies that don't look right. So if we were looking at the documentation page over here, it actually suggests a couple: Next/MDX, MDX.js loader, MDX. So this is also including gray matter. Let's take a look at that. But this generally looks good and seems to match the dependencies that the Next.js website suggested. So definitely a popular package. This is going to parse front matter from a string or file. So we'll actually see, so here's front matter. So in addition to your standard content, you can also in MDX kind of store some additional metadata about the file, which we're going to want to do for episodes, to include things like the link to the YouTube that we don't necessarily want to show up within the context of the page, or we might want to do some additional styling on it. So we want to be able to pull out things like the YouTube link and style that slightly differently into a button, for example. It might not necessarily want that. So this is going to allow us to kind of pull out some of that metadata information. Okay, so let's create a folder for storing episodes and add some example MDX files. So it's going to create it at content/episodes, which sounds like a good place. I don't have a content folder yet, so let's go ahead and do that. And the first example it's generating for us is the future of AI in everyday tech. Sounds like a good episode. All right, and so here we can see kind of an example of some of the front matter. It's got the title, description, the date, the duration of the episode. So this is some stuff that I will hopefully eventually kind of automate. So as I record a video, it'd be nice to be able to pull, because all this information is going to be available in the video, the title of the video, the date that I recorded it, the duration. So I won't have to necessarily go and fill that in manually every time. And it does look like it stuck to my 2 example Markdown files to start off with, which is nice. So it listened to me. Doesn't always do that. And now we are creating the episode interface here, which is good. So we've got the episode, which is going to match the same keys that we have here in our front matter. And you can see it's importing that gray matter. library there. This all looks like good stuff so far. All right, so this next thing, I know this library, NextMDX Remote, this is actually going to be for if we were needed to pull this the markdown files from a remote server. I'm going to be just committing them to my local one, my local repository every time. I'm going to be pushing this up to GitHub, so we don't need to pull it from anywhere else. So I'm going to just let Claude know that and see if we can use another library, because this does introduce some additional dependencies that we might not necessarily need right now. So I'll just say I don't think we'll need next-mdx-remote, because all the MDX files will be good to the repo. All right, it says I'm right, but that's not always the case. Let's see. One of the things about working with a lot of these AIs is they're always going to want to say whatever you said was correct. So I would not, always take that with a grain of salt. If you start telling it to go a different direction, it's going to go that direction whether it really should or not. So I think this is the right way. We will see, though, once we get to compiling. And we have been compiling a little bit as it's going, so I left it running. So as it's pushing updates to our different pages here, we should be seeing generally, are we heading in the right direction? Are we seeing any errors or anything? And so far it seems pretty good. Okay, so now we're installing a Tailwind typography library. One other thing that might be interesting that I've added, you notice that when it's been installing these dependencies using PNPM, which is what I want. The reason it's doing that is because I recently added some cursor rules. So those cursor rules show up here. Oh, looks like I actually didn't. It just happened to be getting it correct. So this is actually something I normally do. Doesn't look like I did it this time. But let's go ahead and add that, because so far it's been doing a good job, but sometimes it'll revert to, just using plain old NPM, for example. So let's dependency rules. We're going to set this to be always, and we'll say always use PNPM for installing and managing dependencies. And we'll save that. So now it will show up there, and I selected rule type always, so anytime I'm interacting with the chat over here, it's going to pull that rule in, so I don't have to keep reminding it over and over again to use PNPM. But so far it's been doing a good job, even though I ended up actually not having that there. All right, so now we're ready to, we don't actually need to build. I'm not going to be deploying this right now, so let's go ahead and skip that. And it looks like we're ready to try this out. So let me just shut down the server real quick and restart it, just to be sure, just be a little extra safe that we've got all the changes we're expecting to see. And I already have a Chrome window open, so let's just switch over there and just go to localhost. All right, so we're still building. Everything looks good so far. Let's check out our content folder over here. We have 2 episodes. So hopefully this works when we click on our episodes tab. All right, hey, that looks pretty good. I'm gonna probably fix up some of the rendering here a little bit, but generally I like the look. It does match our original homepage. Kept the footer, which is nice. It's probably in our layout file here, so I didn't really have a choice. But yeah, that's looking good. 2 episodes available. Let's click on one of the episode pages now and see what that looks like. Ooh, 404. Okay. So, write your episode content automatically appear. All right, so let's go ahead and implement that. Let's give it a link to the error that we ran into. Not sure if it was error loading MDX content. Param should be awaited. Okay, so it's not like it didn't implement it. It looks like it just, there was an error that happened there on import, so that's going to be on our app router episodes. Here's the slug page. Let me go ahead and accept all so this green tint goes away. And it looks like we probably need some sort of a weight or something in here is what it's complaining about. So param should be awaited before using its property. Let's just copy this error message. We could probably fix this ourselves, but I'd like to see the AI do it. So we'll just say error on loading the episode page. And it looks like just a little bit of reformatting as well. It broke out the slug here. So it awaited the actual param. Okay. And then the current approach won't work well because we're trying to render raw Markdown as HTML. Let's install a Markdown parser. That sounds like a good idea. Let's do that too. Right, so now we're importing our React Markdown component here. And it looks like it's doing a little bit more defining of the different types than I would have expected. This could be a lot cleaner, I think. I don't think this might be nice in that we can actually break down, all right, if we use a H1 component in the Markdown, what are we gonna render? In some ways this is a little bit nice because, we have that customization capability. It also makes it a bit, look at all this code it just added. So it does, there's definitely a trade-off there, but I'm fine with it for now. So let's go ahead and skip that. I'll run it myself. And let's go back, and once cursor is ready, okay, click on the episode page and see what it looks like. Much nicer. There we go. All right. So you can see here, if we compare to the Markdown, our Markdown was in this content episodes folder right here. The future of AI in everyday tech. Future of AI in everyday tech. So the mapping here, you can see the title is up at the top right there. So if we were to change the title, say title, and then refresh this, we've added the title here. And then the text of the actual content is down here. So we've got the same one. This is content, just so we can see the difference. And there we go. And then some of the front matter is being rendered up here. This looks really nice. It picked the right icons. It matches the style. I like the rounded orange box around the episode number. It always picks 142 for some reason. I've noticed that in previous versions, which is interesting. But yeah, this looks like a really nice page. Well, you tell me in the comments what you think. This is, if you like this style, I'll plan to be using this and probably adjusting it as we go. One last thing to do here maybe would be this. We've got these play episode and download buttons, which I'm guessing are not implemented. Yep. And I really would like to add a link to the episode in the front matter here, so that when I don't have to do anything special to get this episode button to run. It should just be defined here. I'm going to be, so let's go ahead and make that last update. I'm going to just continue on with this chat since it's already got all the context of the things we're doing, and this should be a pretty simple change, so I should be able to do it. Let's just say it looks good. Let's add let's say the play episode button isn't hooked up to anything. Let's add a URL, episode URL to the .mdx front matter that we can use to link play each episode. And like I said, that should be a pretty simple change, so it should be able to do that for us relatively quickly. So switch back over here and we can take a look at how it's going to implement that. All right, so it's adding the episode URL to the episode's type right here, which is good. That makes sense. And then it's updating our example MDX files. And we can go ahead and add an actual URL. I think I should have one here. Here's one of the previous videos. Let's just use that. I finally got to the page update where it's implementing the button to pull that. So it's pulling the episode.episode URL. And that episode is coming when we get the get episode by slug. So when we load the page here, this is the slug, the future of AI and everyday tech. That's going to map to one of our markdown files in our episodes folder. And then it goes and it's going to parse out that we should have a function here. Yep. That is basically parsing out the contents of that file and mapping everything to a nice page layout. And one of those new things is the button that it added. So you can see that in this green area right here. Here's the actual button implementation. So let's give that a shot. Let's accept all that. And reload the page. So now there we go. All right, that looks like a good starting point. Nice and easy to use. Every time I'm ready to put out a new episode, all I need to do is add the markdown contents here. I'm going to add some show notes, some kind of overview, probably maybe a transcript of the text. I'm going to have a link to all the different tools that we look at every day. It'd be nice and really easy to use, and I can probably just end up using AI to generate this whole file for me eventually. So this is looking really good, and of course when I do that, I will share that with you all as well. So thanks for following along. I'm looking forward to the next video where we'll share the next steps of building this out. Thanks a lot.